Now this is quite an amusing topic. So apparently Rockstar Games applied for a rating on a project only known as Bonaire in Australia, which was refused. The fact that it was refused makes me laugh. I don't know what's going on. But of course Australia has banned games in the past that haven't quite been appropriate as they deem it, including previous Rockstar games. But the point is they appeared to have a game of some capacity, or maybe an expansion or something, that they're applying to be rated, and it's in a state where Australia can go ahead and ban it, so I guess it's been given its shot. It's relatively complete, I'd imagine. And all we know about it is the code name Bonaire, which is also the name of an island in the Caribbean, which is just a little bit north of Venezuela. So there's no real indication as to what this could possibly be. But of course, going into things like this, everybody has their own theories and thoughts, and they have their own assumptions and presumptions. And mine are that I think this could possibly be something to do with Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, I'm not exclusively married to the idea that it's an expansion for Red Dead Redemption 2 or Red Dead Online or whatever, because it could literally be anything. But I'll go through my logic. Since we know nothing, we can speculate as wildly as we want. So we all know that Rockstar Games like to take their time with their games. For example, between Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2's release, there was a gap of 8 years. In between Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, they released LA Noire and Grand Theft Auto 5. LA Noire was released in 2011, 1 year after Red Dead Redemption, and Grand Theft Auto 5 was 2 years after that in 2013. Then they spent 5 years working on Red Dead Redemption 2. My point here being that they don't release games every single year willy-nilly. There are moments where they clump together, like Red Dead Redemption and LA Noire a year apart, and then there are other times when there's a 5-year gap without a Rockstar game. So though it's not impossible that Bonaire could be the next AAA title on Rockstar's agenda, it's not something that I'd bet on. And whatever it is, it seems relatively finished if they're applying for ratings and things, and Australia can quite firmly not be pleased with it. So though rumours are rife for Bully 2 and Grand Theft Auto 6 at this point, I don't think that there's much chance for it to be either of those things. I mean, I'd love for it to be Bully 2 just as much as I'd love for it to be a Red Dead Redemption 2 expansion, but I think it might be a bit too soon for there to be another AAA release coming from Rockstar. And since studio-wise, I'm pretty sure Red Dead Redemption 2 was more or less all hands-on from Rockstar Games' part, I don't think anyone was sitting in the back room working on another game, barring of course maybe those working on Grand Theft Auto 5 and continuing support for that. What for tweaking and perfecting it for the current generation and then releasing it for PC? I'd imagine more or less everyone else was working on Red Dead Redemption 2, which is a theory further supported by the amount of hours that Rockstar Games employees allegedly had to work in order to get this done. I'd imagine that was a last resort after allocating as much resources and people onto it as possible. So my logic here is saying that no other AAA game from Rockstar Games would be anywhere near ready only 8-9 months after the release of Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, maybe if they rushed it, and I mean really rushed it, but in the end of the day, we're talking about Rockstar here, not Ubisoft. So when you put it like that, a full-on AAA game by Rockstar Games at this point seems unlikely. And then my thoughts went to Red Dead Redemption 2 again. What if it is a standalone expansion for that? Or maybe a mega Red Dead Online expansion, but the more niche you make it, the more unusual it seems that Australia isn't happy with it. So what if it was a decent-sized standalone expansion for Red Dead Redemption 2 that was essentially a story DLC, but functioned like Undead Nightmare did, where it's also a standalone game to a degree? Wouldn't be AAA, it would reuse a lot of Red Dead Redemption 2's assets, and at the same time a team could have been working on it for a few years alongside the main game, which would have been more than possible to complete within a year of the main game's launch. And of course, whatever Bonaire actually turns out to be, it doesn't necessarily have to be finished now, it just has to be in a relatively playable state where it can be accurately rated. However, that means that it's probably close to completion anyway. Another big not necessarily, but this story is going to be full of those, isn't it really? But it seems completely random and unusual right off the bat. And of course, as one final point, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a massively successful game that is renowned for its storytelling. Not releasing story DLC would be a huge loss on Rockstar's part, especially considering Red Dead Online really isn't doing as well as they thought it would do. That being said, if they went into the post-launch roadmap thinking that the online would be all that they'd need to do, then changing their minds on that front and making a story expansion would mean that that expansion was nowhere near finished. But then again, that's just an assumption to what they're thinking based on the fact that they never released any story expansions for Grand Theft Auto 5 and went completely all in on the online, and there's no doubt that they expected Red Dead Online to be just as successful. So though I'm thinking and kind of hoping that this is a Red Dead Redemption 2 expansion of some capacity. But to answer the question, what exactly is Bonaire? Nothing is making 100% sense. The logical prospect of a Red Dead Redemption 2 expansion makes more sense than other things, but there are still a few things that don't quite lock into place. All we know about it is that it's been refused classification in Australia. But I guess when it comes to finding out what Bonaire actually turns out to be, because I have no doubts that that's a code name, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But please do let me know what you think down in the comments section. For all we know, it could be a sequel to LA Noire, or a full-on remake of Red Dead Redemption, or something like that, who knows. But to find out for sure, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, thank you all for watching this video, I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff, I would really appreciate it, and I'll see you all very soon with another video at some point.